Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of Forging Ahead. I'm Aviv Manoach, and this is a show about tabletop role-playing games where I discuss the shenanigans of my own group and prepare their next adventures. Welcome again, and thank you for joining me. We have kind of turned this show from a weekly affair to a bi-weekly affair, once every other week, partly because of my schedule, partly because of how we want to organize the On the Shoulders of Dwarf feed. So I'm going to try to do this every other Wednesday afternoon. the hour is going to vary, but you can either follow the Twitch channel on twitch.tv/isol.me or subscribe to the dwarfcast.net to get the VOD or rather podcast episode. You can of course follow me on Twitter and get a notification whenever I go live. If you're watching this on the video version, you can also see that I've kind of upgraded the entire affair, so it's more pretty now, and also you can see more of me for the moment. So what are we doing? Before that, I want to thank everyone that has followed the Twitch channel, because we have passed 50 followers, which is the next step into becoming a Twitch affiliate. If you aren't familiar with the Twitch system, it has several steps of being present on the service. You can be an ordinary account and just stream whenever you like. You don't get any extra features, but you get the basics. And then you have affiliates, which get a subscribe button and a couple of emotes, I think, about 2 or 3, something like that. But the subscribe button is the big thing, because you can start making money from your streaming, and then you can become partner. And partner, you get a whole bunch of things like emotes and special sponsorship tools and stuff like that. Partner, after we become a partner, sorry. I'm using an automated service to play music before the stream begins, and it was a bit of a mess. Anyway, what was I saying? That partners have within themselves a couple of levels according to how many subscribers you have, but it's far off. At the moment, we got 50 followers, which is cool. The rest is on me. I need to stream more. I won't say a lot more, but stream on a regular basis every week. And I'm going to try and do that. If you are listening to this and you are not from Israel or a Hebrew-speaking person, the Thursday stream is not for you. We are on Thursday. We stream the Game Burning podcast, which is a weekly podcast about all the games, video games, role-playing games, tabletop games, etc. But it's Hebrew, so if you understand Hebrew, you are welcome to join us on Thursday, and of course subscribe to the podcast afterward. On Saturdays, which was my regular spot for Forging Ahead, I'm going to try to do regular game streaming instead, since Forging Ahead has moved to Wednesdays. That's housekeeping. Let's move on with the show. So what are we doing in Forging Ahead if you haven't heard it yet? This is a show where it's basically GM prep for my home campaign. I ran a game called Wonders for my home group, which is based on Masks: A New Generation. So it's a game of teenage superheroes where our hero team is living in a city, and a bunch of things happen, and it's very fun and exciting, and we really like it. Each episode, I briefly and sometimes not so briefly talk about what has been going on in the past 2 sessions. As we are playing weekly, but the show is every other week now. And after that, I do some planning, whether it's talking about the plot lines we have, or the villains I want to introduce, or all kinds of story elements and the like. Today, we are going to go over the existing story arcs, just to make a bit of sense, a bit to organize everything we have been talking about, since it became a bit of a mess. As we say, no plan has survived meeting the players, but playing Powered by the Apocalypse games make this a little bit easier, since I never plan anything that is very concrete. I plan big ideas that I'm throwing at the player and see what comes of it. So it's a lot of fun that way. Okay, let's switch to the screen so you can see what I see. Previously on Wonders Collecting Dust. 2 weeks ago, or rather, 2 weeks ago, we had a battle, a very fun combat. I talked about in the previous episode about how we didn't actually have a lot of battles in this campaign, so I wanted to finally have a bit of an action scene, and we did it. It was great. It took almost the entire session. We are playing 3 hours every time, and we are playing. It's a text-based campaign, so it's a little bit slower than a normal face-to-face tabletop game. Especially if we have a lot of moves to make, a lot of die roll, since we are still new to Mask. It's our 12th session, so about 3 weeks, 3 months, maybe a little bit more than that. Personally, I translated Masks from English to Hebrew, so for the last year I've studied the game, but reading and translating the game and actually playing it are a bit different. So we had a battle. There is no reason to go into the specific of the battle. There wasn't anything very special that happened there. There were 3 assailants, perpetrators, against the 4 teammates. One of the perpetrators was found to be a wonder in of itself. He had the power to manipulate his size. He was like a giant man. He grew to the size of about a 2-story building. And we called him Yuval the Giant. And it was fun. So there were these perps. They had a bomb. The team tried to prevent them from using the bomb. Yuval the Giant took the bomb case and placed it in the 2nd story of the factory building. And the entire combat was the bad guys trying to delay the team from doing it, interfering with the bomb, since they wanted for it to explode. And Yuval the Giant threw the team away. Flying Fist and Armorfell was on the front line, with Voron providing a psychic backup and the like. And at some point, the bad guys realized they don't have a lot of time, and they retreated. Seabreeze, seeing that they are going to retreat, charmed one of the bad guys, not Yuval the Giant, but one of the not wonder perpetrators. She is the outsider with the ability of radical shape-shifting and pheromones. So she changed her shape to something very beautiful and used her pheromones to entice the bad guy, and he fell madly in love with her and stayed there with her. Oron, which is the Nova, used his telekinesis to create a moat and prevent the bomb from causing a lot of collateral damage. As a result of that, the building stayed more or less intact, which was very nice. After the explosion, Flying Fist went into the building to look for any clues why was this specific building chosen for the attack, and she found the name of the owner of the building, which is Byram Ifrath Ajam. It's a person the team doesn't know yet, not even his alias, which is the Jackal. And she also found a dig inside the factory building, what looked like some form of archaeological digging underneath the factory. While the bomb here exploded, the team could hear more explosion around the city, and then they heard the sound of sirens and stuff like that. Oron took out his phone to check the news, and they find out that there was a series of explosions that rocked the entire city, all in empty or abandoned buildings. But despite that, there was one person injured. And in another location, there were reports of a superhero fighting the group of terrorists. Not this location. This location, the location the team is in, since Oron put the moat around the bomb, nobody even heard it, beside people that were actually in the immediate vicinity of the explosion. Actually, no one knew about this bomb site. There were 4 other bomb sites in addition to the one the team was in. And there was an official statement from an organization called the Universal Freedom Frontier that took responsibility for the attack and said that their goal was to free their comrades that are being held in the Boer. I will remind you that the Boer is an international prison for dangerous, superpowered criminals, which is built very close to the city, to our city, in a international demilitarized zone, around a phenomenon known as the fissure. The fissure is some kind of interdimensional tear that happened 10 years ago and began this new age of heroes in the world. At the end of the session, we still have this criminal, this perpetrator, that was charmed by Seabreeze. His name is Ron, and Oron uses his telepathy to get into his mind and find out if what the television and what the news was saying is true, or is there some ulterior motive around those attacks. So they find out a couple of things. One is that Ron is very afraid of missing the appointed meeting of all the people involved in the attacks. He wants to go there. It's in some place outside the city in the wilderness. The other thing that Ron reads in his mind is that he is happy the attack has occurred as planned. So as far as he is concerned, the team didn't actually prevent them from accomplishing their goals. And the last thing that he read in his mind is that what the statement says in the news is, as far as this person is concerned, the truth, the absolute truth. He is a part of an organization that aims to free people from the boar. And he is doing this because he had a sister that 8 years ago was taken into the boar and she died there. And that is why he is fighting to free people from this prison. This was session number 12. Now, session 13, the last week, moment, please. I'm checking something. Session number 13, we started doing the same thing. Seabreeze wanted to go with the perpetrator to the meeting place. She's the outsider. She doesn't understand school or why you can't do whatever you want to do in this weird world. And so she says she just wants to go there and see what happened and find the people they are fighting against. Seabreeze comes from a world, it's a virtual world, although she doesn't know it, that is in constant war between mankind and monsters. As far as she is concerned, there are bad people that you fight against and good people that you protect. And this team is the people she's protecting at the moment. And the people that planted the bombs are the bad guys that she needs to fight against. So she was really hell-bent on going there and finding out what happened. The rest of the team, however, are normal teenage people that this is Saturday night. It's a school night. They need to go back home and go to bed and get up for school. So they couldn't come with her, and once she realized she had no backup, she asked Ron for. She gave Ron her phone number or asked him for his phone number, I don't remember, and wanted to keep in touch with him to check on him on a later date. While this happened, Amraphel went himself into the building to check what the dig site Flying Fist found inside the building. Amraphel is the Janus. He has heightened senses, so he smelled the environment and looked around and etc. And the main thing he discovered was that this dig was not new. It's not something the bomb suddenly caused to occur. It's something the bomb revealed. It was covered up, and the bomb removed whatever was covering the dig. It's at least a year old. Also, a bit later, about, I don't know, 15 minutes, half an hour later, they are still checking the news. The news got updated. They now know that the hero, that the person that was injured was in fact the hero, Red Owl. And they were taken to the military hospital for treatment. Red Owl, if you remember, is a newish hero that the team learned about a week ago. Amorphel met him at the Titania Fight Club. We know, as the GM and listeners that help the GM, that Red Owl is actually a cover alias for a Power Star, a very well-known hero turned anti-hero. I will call it like that. Is using an alter ego in order to hide his current activities, because he's under the impression that the government is trying to kidnap him. So that's that he was in the reason he was taken to a military hospital is because I wanted to have some way to keep his identity hidden. There isn't actually a rule in the world that says that hero's identity needs to be kept hidden unless you are an official one there working for the government and have an official cover story. And Red Owl is none of those things. Power Star is also none of those things. But also, since Oron lives near the military base and is part of the military, I wanted to have some form of connection so he will have the opportunity to maybe meet Red Owl / Power Star. And the other thing that was reported in the news was that the hero that fought some of the terrorists was in fact a character called Raziel. And we talked a little bit about Raziel in the last episode. Raziel is not an old, but it messed me up in the last episode as well. Damn it. I need my Hebrew to English translator. A veteran, thank you. It bugged me in the last episode as well. He's a veteran wonder. He fought in the War of Might. He was one of the founders of Seraph, and after the war, he was active for about 2 years. But then he was believed to be dead, and suddenly he is now appearing in a video in a news report, and that was kind of weird. Also, one of my players figured out that Raziel is the name of an archangel, and the word Seraph, which we use for the organization, is a play on seraphim, and seraphim is the Hebrew word for a group of archangels. So Raziel the Seraph, the founder of Seraph, was a bit of a thing. I wasn't planning on it, but it came out really great. Sunday morning, we've moved the day. Sunday morning, Oron is wakened by a new character called Michal Simon. She's a Central Security Service agent that was assigned his case. She tells him about his memories being manipulated, about the traffic accident that allegedly killed his commanding officer and his squad mates. Now, we have talked about this before. Oron thought that he was involved in a car accident, but in reality, everything he remembered from that night was memories planted by another character, Darkness. He doesn't know it. No one knows this beside us, the GM. But he knows, he heard people talking about the people around him don't know that his memories was manipulated. They think, I don't know what they think. They think he's weird, he's maybe insane, he tries to make people think that he was involved in a traffic accident. People, because he is a teenager that was taken from his home into an organization and has the reputation of being this powerful telepath, people fear him and loathe him. So all the people around him thought the very worst of him in that situation. And he became isolated, and he didn't know what to think, because as far as he knew, the traffic accident happened, but he also knows that no one believes him. And the story that people actually think that happened is that his CO and squad mates went AWOL. They took the car, they took the military gear, and just went off on their own. Now, Michal, for the first time, actually tells him, yes, this is true. Your memories has been manipulated. People were afraid to tell you, and your squad went rogue, basically. And this new character, Michal Simon, the CSS agent, is going to be the new commanding officer for Oron, his immediate superior. And she is going to investigate, first of all, the commanding officer, Azam El-Jabari, disappeared, this rogue element. And secondly, she's going to investigate the memory manipulation. What the heck could cause the country's most powerful telepath to suddenly remember things that were not true? The other thing she tells Oron is that she shows him actually pictures, surveillance photographs of him and the team from the first battle when the team came together 3 weeks ago, and also photographs from when Amraphel fought in the radio station lobby on our first session. This is to make him realize that the parts of the government, not everyone, but parts of the government knows about the team, knows about his involvement, and she's going to have a discussion about it with him. He, the player, Oron, asked her to, if he could read her mind, ask her consent in order to verify everything she told him, and she agreed. They agreed on a code word in order to prevent him to dig too deep into her memories, and he verified it, and everything was okay. Then we had school. At school, everyone was very, I don't know if excited was the actual word for it, but they were very talkative about the attacks, and Red Howl being hospitalized and Raziel suddenly appearing, and specifically Amraphel's friends are very anti-wonders generally, and they had very difficult things to say about all of this. Amraphel, or as his civilian identity as Ami, found out from one of his friends that works in a consumer electronics shop that there were a couple of robbers around the city. She works in one of those shops. She was there when the store was robbed, and she tells him that the robbers they look like children, but they are covered in weird armor from top to bottom, completely covered, and have very weird weapon. So at the end of the session, Oron wants to go back to the dormitories to speak with Michal after school, and Amraphel and Sibris decide to go and check out either the places that were robbed or the bomb site. Sibris went back to the reservoir to get her car, her Kirby craft that she left there. I need to check something before we continue. Okay, so we are already running kind of late. No matter. Let's talk about current story arcs. Some of them I mentioned while talking about what happened in the previous session. So we have let's look at the I need to move everything a bit. So let's do this. Let's put it like this. Yes. Now like this. Yes. Now you see everything. Almost everything. Okay. Let's start with Power Star. Yeah. We have Power Star. Power Star, like I said, he was a well-known hero around the country, with the main base in our city. And 3 weeks ago, when the team came together, there was an attempt to abduct another famous hero. We haven't established which hero was it, but it wasn't Power Star. It was another wonder. And Power Star, 2 weeks later, was interviewed in a local radio station, and during the interview he attempted to take the staff hostage in order to blackmail government officials to reveal what happened in the abduction attempts. He believes the government itself is trying to abduct several prominent wonders for whatever reason. He wanted to, for the whatever people are responsible for it to come forward, and he also wants the radio station because he believed that they received reports of this and this was censored. Now he was stopped by the team and didn't get any of that, and he went underground, replacing his identity with the identity of Red Owl. As Red Owl, he surrounds himself with a group of young wonders, and he instills in them the importance of helping the city for the greater good. So we have a couple of young wonders that we met already that follow Red Owl / Power Star and fight to make the city a better place. While all the while, Red Owl tries to infiltrate to different factions in the city to discover what really happens. The team doesn't know any of this at the moment. Of course, they know that Power Star was at the radio station, says they fought him, but for all they know, he disappeared. They don't know the connection to Red Owl, and they don't know the connection to the young wonders, Mirage and Becky, that they met before. Power Star was at the Titania Fight Club. In the Titania Fight Club, we saw several storylines intercross. One of which is the Tablet of Anat. Tablet of Anat was a very prominent story arc so far in our game. It's an artifact telling the story, the mythological story of Baal and Anat, and couple of different people looking for its fragments. Specifically Rave, which is the criminal boss of the city, and Hexen, that the team doesn't know why Hexen is looking for the tablet, but they do know that she is part of a team called the Ankh, and they know she has some connection to someone called the Jackal. They don't know who it is or what it is or anything. Rave, while looking for the fragment, threatened Danica Mikhailov, a curator at the archaeological dig site in the city, and also mother of Alex, a close friend of Amraphel, which got the team involved. Ray first sent a couple of low-level tags. Danica wasn't impressed with the tags. Then Ray sent, allegedly at least, sent Typhoon to cause a scene at the Mikhailov house while Alex was there. This is how the whole team got involved, not only Amraphel, and they found the lead connecting Typhoon to the Flying Fist brother Arel. They suspect they are the same person. They are not sure it's the same person. We as the group of players know they are the same person because we had an sort of behind the scene look at Typhoon meeting Rave and removing his mask, and the players saw that this is Arel, but the character don't know that. So we have two conflicting factions that are looking for the tablet of Anat. Rave is looking for it to basically to prevent it from falling to any other end. She doesn't want anyone to use it, although she doesn't know exactly what it is used for. She just wants to prevent people from doing harm in the city. Rave is the type of criminal that aims for balance, for status quo. She wants people to live in peace while making money in illegal ways. She doesn't want the whole affair to escalate into an open gang war. That's the one thing she tries to prevent. Now we have Rave's faction, Powerstar faction, the Ankh faction, and the final faction operating in the city is Darkness faction. Darkness is a powerful wonder that escaped the boar. This is one of the characters we decided on at the beginning of the campaign. Although beside talking about them at the first session, the team hasn't encountered Darkness yet. They did encounter one of his lieutenants called Frankenstein. Frankenstein is a wonder that can control their body. He can remove his limbs and stitch them back up and stuff like that. And he is doing contract work. Darkness is the very opposite of Powerstar. His faction runs wonders for hire. Basically, if you want something done, you can pay Darkness, and he will do it. Or not he, sorry, they will do it, because I haven't figured out Darkness gender yet. One of the things Darkness did was implant false memories in Oron. Darkness has the power of memory manipulation. He did that to Oron. The whole thing with El Jabari and the rogue faction in the military, etc., was Darkness doing. And that's the whole investigation with Michal, all of that story arc is going to lead to darkness. Now, we also have this new group in the city, the Universal Freedom Frontier, with their terrorist attack. I don't know who they are working for yet. The group thinks that the explosion were there to cover up the dig site by Bayram, whatever, I forget his full name. Bayram Ifat Ajem, which is the jackal. So they think the whole terrorist attack plot was meant to cover up the jackal's search for the tablet of a nut. So I may end up actually crossing those two story arcs. Maybe the jackal hired darkness to organize the terrorist attack and hit two birds with one stone. So darkness provide the cover-up while actually helping the Universal Freedom Frontier to further their goals, and the jackal get away with it. Only he won't get away with it because the team knows about it now. I see there are parts you are not seeing now. So all of those plot lines are currently running in the city. I find that in order to run a game with a lot of different plot lines and side stories, you need to keep reminding the players about them all the time. And actually, I'm doing those episodes, this podcast, because I need to remind myself that all of those things exist. Because if I don't remember they exist, I can't put them in the game for the players to find them. So each week or every other week, I try to think what connections to the active storylines we had in the last session and what connections we are going to use in the next session. And hopefully the players will start to pull those strings to the point that I don't need to remind them, because they will chase them actively themselves. I forgot one storyline that is not connected to any faction, and that is the Video Kids storyline that we just started to pull in the last session. Those are the robberies. The basic premise is that Seabreeze comes from virtual world. The virtual world started to connect with the real world, and the virtual world is an actual computer game world that people are playing in the real world, and some kids discover they have the power to think about stuff from the virtual game world and materialize it in the real world, and they have these amazing powers. And now they started going out and robbing places because they're kids, and they just are messing around. Now, after the party, the team will stop the Video Kids. I'm going to have some very serious villain taking advantage of the breach between the virtual world and the real world, and start doing very evil things that are not just kids games. So we will have that. Before I finish, and we went way longer than I thought we will. Two things I wanted to do in the next session, new ideas. One, since Flying Fist wasn't at the last session, and because she's the beacon, I want her to have some sort of more low-key story plotline of her own, beside the whole typhoon thing, which is her brother. She will be at the school, and she will hear some someone crying, and she will be told about a couple of kids bullying people at school, and I feel like it's going to be a very good beacon story, because she is always conflicted about her place in the team. It comes up a lot because she doesn't really have any superpowers. She constantly questions why she needs to be in the team and helping the team fight in the superhero level of things. And I want to give her something she will accomplish on her own and feel like she can do good even without having very flashy, strong superpowers. So this is one thing we are going to do in the next session. The other thing, and we are already talking about the next session and not the new ideas, but the other thing, and again, this is something that came up in a previous episode. A villain is going to attack the military dormitories. Up until this week, I didn't know what this villain is. Now I do know. She is called Fantasia. She has reality manipulation powers, meaning she can change how things are in the real world with her mind. And she was recruited by the military about a decade ago, exactly like Ron. If Ron is 16 or 17, she's 27, exactly 10 years older than him. And like him, she was taken from her home and put under the supervision of the military and was trained to use their power by the military. But unlike Ron, which kind of don't care about all of this. Honestly, she got really angry about being a pawn of the military and having used their powers to do not so cool things, and now she is coming back for revenge. So that is going to be a very big battle. Unlike the previous battle, which was against a couple of normal dudes without powers and a guy with some rudimentary power, this is going to be a full-on super villain attack that is going to get a lot of people hurt. And I think, or I'm hoping, that the team is not going to manage to defeat her on the first try. She is going to be a very tough villain to fight with 5 conditions, and she's going to cause a lot of damage. And one of the things I want to emphasize in this combat is Oron's role as the Nova. So far, his powers were kind of low-key, a lot of telepathy and mind reading and sort of things like that. I want him to lose control. Soon! As sooner the better. I want him to see how much damage Fantasia does and be afraid about the damage he can do to people around him. That's what I want to accomplish. Okay, we covered new ideas. We covered what will happen in the next session. That's it. We are done. We have gone 10 minutes over. So that's our show for today. On the next episode, we will catch up on what happened, and we'll talk about what is going to becoming next. I screwed this sentence up, but never mind. As a reminder, we are now on Wednesday every other week until the middle of February, when I fly for a vacation abroad. So we will have a hiatus there. In the meantime, you can catch me on Twitter at Isel. Check my work on games on the Vanor Games to Amaze page, and join our Facebook group on the Shadows of Dwarfs. All the things I have talked about are in the show notes on the dwarfcast.net website, and with all the links and such. You can also visit the Obsidian portal for the game. It is collectingdust.obsidianportal.com. I have some of the things update. I don't update it a lot, but there are more. There is more information on there, and I also keep the adventure log fairly up to date. Also, there is the map of the city, which if you want to actually see the map of the city, you can. Why it looks weird in the... That's very strange. I want to fix this. A moment. Wow, that's very strange. Oh, now I realize. Transform, fit to screen. That's it. That was the problem. Sorry for the guys viewing the video version. Anyways, that's everything. That is all, folks. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and we will see/hear each other next time. Bye bye.